Hello gamers and welcome to another video on the channel. I'm Golden12 and today we're going to be looking at a Zenless and Zero tier list, right? I normally do these videos for the private tier list and talk about the characters, all that good stuff. And yeah, this time, a little bit of me being right once again, is what it is. But yeah, let's take a look at this. So, private obviously update the tier list because of new characters, and let's just say it's exactly what I said, previous videos, and at least I think I said in previous videos. There's a chance I probably just said it on stream and it never made it into a video, but it is what it is. But as you can see here, well, would you look at that? Jane Doe is at the top, tier 0, anomaly DPS, right? Very obvious, right? Now, previously, right, the other video, right, you saw me like talking about using her with other various characters, so on and so on, like stun characters, and well, I was right now. This is not something I think is really relevant to this video, but like I think I kind of got one guide by it, right? And like that's the follow-up video I did talking about the comments. Maybe I did, who knows? But again, if you watched that video, you would have seen that I did actually say that, like, hey, you use her with stunners, it's gonna work good, right? And well, would you look at that? A lot of people are using her. One of her better teams is using her Chingy, right? Or like Ambi, right? Because the stun damage, not stun damage specifically, but the days damage you can do and the speed that you actually get them stunned to make use of that stun multiplier, right? So you're seeing it a lot, right? You're seeing less of the Disorder team, right? And more of, using Rena plus Seth, or like Seth plus somebody else to just purely buff Jane. And why is that? Well, it's because Disorder itself innately is kind of finicky when using like physical, right? Now I could talk about the different elements and how Disorder damage will flip-flop between which element is applied first and so on, right? But just to like understand that Jane herself is a hyper anomaly character, right? She's basically super break DPS and Honkai, like that'd be the equivalent Honkai Star Rail. And so obviously she's gonna be really strong as long as you can apply the anomaly super fast, right? And as you've seen, she does a lot of damage, right? I knew this was gonna be the case, right? You can use her in the trial, of course, and well, again, if you looked at her kit early, you could see that, or like if you studied anomaly at all, that's a weird way to phrase it, but you get what I mean, right? It's like she was obviously going to be very powerful and be placed up here at tier 0 versus other DPS. Now, there's one thing that I think is interesting is that they specifically point out Nekomata. They're keeping an eye on her. I'm not sure why. I mean, obviously, like I think everybody knows this. Most of the limited characters completely gap the base characters by like a tier 2, right? But I don't know if it's where it's like Nekomata should go down because she's definitely performing better than the rest of them. Now, granted, I've seen some good stuff from both Billy and Anton over on the CN side has one of the fastest clear times, right? I don't even know what they're doing there. Maybe it's like the infinite Anton tag. I don't know if that's still in the game or not. But yeah, like again, they're still very good. So I don't know why they're saying Nekomata's performance is waning. Maybe it's because of physical res, but at the same time, it's Jane is active and there is only like one stage with it. So like I don't know necessarily like why they're keeping an eye on Nekomata. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like her performance is totally fine, but maybe this is one of those things where it's like their usage of their usage rate thing, right? Because they like to use the usage rate statistic for their tier list. I think it's stupid. It shouldn't be a thing because it realistically doesn't convey how a unit performs. Because you could have a unit that could be really good at a niche, but nobody uses them, right? So it will drastically drop the performance of X character, I think, unfairly, right? And so just straight up, however way you put it, usage rate is a stupid statistic. It shouldn't be factored for tier lists, but yeah, that's what they do, right? And so we actually go and read it. She hasn't quite performed at the level we expect in the recent SHU defenses. When compared to Soldier 11, she shares the tier placement with. We are not making any changes yet, but we're keeping an eye on her performance as we move forward to see if it improves, and it goes the opposite direction as a result of releasing a new physical damage powerhouse, Jane Doe. Again, like, I don't... Like, if we're splitting up the categories, right? And if we look at Nekomata's, like, performance in clear time, like, does she, like, really? I don't know. I'm pretty sure over on CN she's got faster clears than Soldier 11 anyways. But that's besides the point. Again, nothing worth relevant. Seth and Jane Doe. So, obviously, I already talked about Jane Doe. Now, Seth. I actually made a video, right, on Seth, right, and it's kind of like two of them. Now, this is one of the things I think is funny that I messed up completely. I mentioned in the comment section, and the whole reason I made the follow-up video is because I messed up the anomaly thing, and I messed up again, right? So my bad. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. Regardless, Seth, I did say, like in the video thumbnail, all that stuff, uh, hidden 5-star, right? There he is, right? He's really good. Seth is going to be like the 4-star option for basically all anomaly teams. In fact, he's basically going to be the go-to option for pretty much every anomaly team going forward, right? Even disorder teams in the future. Now, granted, disorder, you can make some arguments for like arena and the timer extension for like shock characters. If you are doing that for disorder, if you remember, the 3 key elements for disorder are going to be fire, shock, and ether, because they're, you know, the dot ones that explode all at once and do the biggest damage bonus. And so obviously having, you know, Jane Doe here, who doesn't really optimize disorder effectively for the biggest damage chunks, Seth is really good because he's gonna, you know, just give her straight buffs to her anomaly proficiency, which is going to massively increase her damage for those anomalies. That's why Seth is so good up here. He also works as sort of like an off stunner and off buffer for teams that either, like, let's say you don't have Sakagu leveled for whatever reason, or, you know, somebody like that. You can use him in that 3rd slot as an extra teammate and get that anomaly proficiency. Granted, it won't be as beneficial as running an actual anomaly character, but it still works there. And you also get a little bit of that stun factor, right? So Seth is really good. Now, him being placed at tier 0.5, I think that's purely because usage rates, because while he's really good, I don't know if I would consider him better than Lucy. Now, maybe just because nobody's using Lucy and they're underrating her massively, but Lucy's actually really good. She just falls short of Sakaku until you get her M2. Because without that M2, you don't get the buff on chain attack, and it's really annoying to use her, and you have a worse uptime, right? Once she hits the M2, and again, I don't know why they're not factoring in dupes yet, right? Once she hits the M2, she's like up there, like honestly almost on par with Sakaku, right? Now, granted, Sakaku has more buffs with her, you know, ice damage bonus, and then you get the massive attack bonus. But like Lucy is still going to give you, you know, a smaller attack bonus, and then if you get higher dupes, you get crit, right? So you get some bonuses that are going to be obviously not strong Sakaku, but like she's edging there. So like I think she can be moved up, but maybe she's not going to get realized until Caesar comes out. Now, again, talking about Caesar's kit, that's a whole nother debacle. They went crazy with her after buffing her, right? So originally when I talked about her, yeah, no, they went sicko mode. But besides that, with Caesar specifically, she'll kind of cannibalize the role of most supports, if not be in addition to them. So like you could do a double support team with her plus another support. So she could replace a stunner, in fact, or she can replace their supports, right? So you can do like a bunch of mixing mashing with her, like literally solid team comps, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like, yeah, her team is called Salad because you run whatever, right? And so maybe the core that I've been talking about so much with her and Lucy is going to really shine once that comes out, because now you're going to have Caesar who's going to be on there, plus Lucy who's giving you an extra attack buff. Now you could talk about, you know, dilution of attack buff, but we don't really have much other buffs going on because the only characters right now are giving you attack, right? So we got 2 attack buffers, and we got a defense / damage percent with Nicole if you're Ether, and then Seth is just an anomaly proficiency with Rena being a penetration ratio. So maybe it's like when Caesar comes out, Rena will get more use, maybe. That's debatable. It really depends on the comps. I don't think so, but I do think in terms of like free-to-play viability, you're gonna get a lot of use out of Caesar plus Lucy, and so Lucy probably would go up. But all things considered, like that M2 is what makes her so good. So I could see her being placed here. But like if we factor in dupes, which I really think they should for 4-star characters, they do it with their other lists. She's definitely gonna be way more competitive. And I know I went off topic from Seth, but I just thought like it's mentioning that like Lucy, in terms of functionality, is kind of annoying to use until she's M2 when she actually gets her buff on ult and chain attack. And then Seth is gonna do the same thing, but he's not like as impactful like overall, I would really say, because right now he's primarily for those anomaly teams, and while he can work outside of that, it's like you're not getting as much use as running just like a dedicated support, right? So I don't know why he's this high. He's really good, don't get me wrong, right? But it's kind of weird seeing him here like drastically above Lucy, because again, realistically you're gonna run both of them together on Jane Doe's team anyways. So I really don't know like what's going on with that, but it is what it is. And then as for Nicole, now this one's one of the ones actually so again, if you did watch it in the previous videos, we talked about how Lucy Nicole should be higher. Seth's gonna be better than Rena and whatnot, right? I've talked about that a lot. And again, let me make this clear because I feel like people got this wrong on my initial video. Whatever, look, I say things sometimes, people get too upset about it. I'm just trying to look at it from like an objective perspective, okay? Trying to hyper analyze this, see like what actually works. Previously, I did say Rena was the worst standard 5-star to pull. And hey, listen. She doesn't work the way a lot of people understand, right? Her buff probably still bug. I don't know if it's a bug or not. Again, this is a whole nother thing. But if you look, the only real like effectiveness you're seeing out here is on the CN side, where you've got like the fastest clear time happens to use Arena. Like I think it's like 3 of the top 10 use Arena for whatever reason. But then everything else is like Sakaku, Lucy, right? Or like Nicole, right? So all I'm saying is that like I was right. Okay. There's a reason why she's like at the bottom of this list. Now here's the thing. You can move her up. I would not be upset. I'm just saying, like, for reference. But the reason why this relates to Nicole is because Nicole gives a direct better damage buff than Rena, right? The 40% defense down is just better than what Rena gives for like 29.8 like penetration, right? It's just better. Now, granted, we can talk about how it stacks with Grace optimally in terms of giving Grace a big damage buff in terms of a stacking pin with her weapon. That's a whole nother complex topic, but specifically with Nicole, they decided to move her up, proving her be a force to be reckoned with, thanks to Zhuyuan. Now, even outside of Zhuyuan, I still think she's viable. She's obviously not going to be the best for uptime, but with burst-related DPS like Nekomata, for example, you can very easily make use of Nicole, even if it's not necessarily optimal to run her with Nekomata not really have the best support options, right? So even though Nicole's uptime is like iffy, you can still make a good use of it on other teams. And her damage bonus scales, or not damage bonus, her defense down scales really, really well across the board, assuming you can make full use of it within your uptime. That's why it's so good of Zhuyuan, because she is just, you know, bang, 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 you burst 5 seconds, you're off the field, you can swap and do all that stuff, right? Characters like Ellen and Joe suffer because they've got longer DPS rotations, right? So, yeah, and again, we can debate Nicole's placement. Personally, I think she's kind of annoying to use. So like, I find it hard to put her up there, but according to them, her performance with Zhuyuan is just that good. So yeah, you know, again, it's debatable, but if we look at the big picture of like what Nicole is doing and where she functions really well, it's a pretty wide variety of teammates, right? I'm just gonna like draw some lines here. So like, you can use Nicole with, you know, Zhuyuan, you can use her with Nekomata, you can use her with Billy, you can use her with Thorin. Well, Thorin's DPS, Thorin is bursty, but like it's a sort of longer DPS rotation. But you're getting a lot of coverage in terms of like DPS characters with her. That's like pretty solid, right? So I definitely see her viability being there, right? So it does make sense versus like Sakaku, where you're only gonna be buffing the 1 damage dealer, and she takes a really long time. So like you can realistically use Sakaku for basically every other team, and you know, get similar effects, right? So yeah, it just depends on like teammates, and this is mainly just going to be an issue with the game's like roster at the minute, but that's sort of like the scenario we're in with Nicole. She's got a lot of coverage and some pretty solid buffs, and if we just use Lucy as an example, actually, Lucy gives you a team-wide buff, and it lasts for like a decent duration. It's just she feels like she needs more dupes due to the fact that she gets a duration extension, and again, I've already mentioned them too. Right, so realistically, you can just like point her to legit every character because she's giving team-wide buffs. But like, that's just for like reference, right? That these characters do provide a lot overall, and it makes sense why she's up here. But yeah, I'm honestly like surprised that when I said move everybody up, well, we're getting kind of what I said, like, you know, all those, you know, days ago, right? I'm sure somebody is like watching this video getting really annoyed at the self-blazing, but like, what do you want me to say, bro? Like, I feel like if you look at the character's actual performance, this is kind of obvious, right? But yeah, there's nothing really crazy about this tier list. Again, only added 2 characters, 1 change. Again, predicted this. I'll make another prediction for this video. And again, if you watch the whole thing, thank you very much. Of course, getting a lot of new viewers recently. You guys are much appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe to me on Twitch, all that good stuff. Like always in the other videos I've been doing recently, 10,000 subs, right? By the time my Abby comes out, I will order a Ellen Joe maid outfit and wear it to summon for my Abby. All right, there you go. Again, if you're wondering when that is, it's gonna be like 1.4, so you got like 3 updates worth. So yeah, look forward to that, right? And yeah, that's kind of it for this video. So for the prediction, I am predicting that Caesar is going to be put into tier 0 on the stun category or the support character. The reason why either one is she's sort of like a flex option. And before, if you read one in the comment sections, she was a jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing. Now she's just like, oh yeah, I do everything. So she can fit both roles, and I'm curious to where they're gonna put her. Because personally, I think she's gonna be more so cannibalizing the support role because of what she does. However, the dedicated supports, putting them together, Nicole plus Yuan and Sukaku plus Ellen, do work better optimally. However, that doesn't factor in the stunner. See, because both stunners, Lycan and Shingi, are good. However, Caesar does do stun and is giving very potent buffs. So she cannibalizes both roles effectively. And this character is going to be extremely high value for most players. In fact, I'm not saying she's a must summon, but like her banner plus what she does, it's getting pretty close to it, right? Now, as for Bernice, I do think she's very good. Although I don't know if she's necessarily going to be tier 0 along with Jane Doe. I think she's probably going to be 0.5. Mostly because in order to maximize what a character like that does, you need somebody on field maximizing DPS uptime like Jane or Grace, so you can flip-flop your disorder procs, right? You're going to need one of those two to maximize what Bernice does, right? Now, of course, you can use Piper, but Piper won't be getting you as much damage as the other two options there for, you know, what that character wants to do, right? So Bernice will be good, but I don't think she's going to be put in the tier 0, right? And so, yeah, that's going to be the prediction for this video. Apparently, I extended it by like 5 extra minutes. I don't even know, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.